Aotearoa Luafatasanga. Luafatasanga. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox On. It has been a long time since I've made one of these videos, but I figured since it is rivalry week, no better time like now than to make this video. Plus, I think I've fully recovered from the emotional trauma that I suffered in the ESPN 700 Dream Job contest. Now, I may not have won the swag and the headphones and the gift cards, but on the positive side, I did win Lexi's heart. So sweet. But, like I said, it is rivalry week, and so there's not really anything else worth talking about except for that. The game that we've all been looking forward to this whole off season is finally here. As much fun as SUU was, I think we were all, at least as Utah fans, waiting for this game. Of course, BYU had Arizona last week, but this feels like the real start to the season for the University of Utah. So, of course, this week is the Holy War, finally. We've been waiting for this game. Yeah, we had it at the bowl game last year, but there wasn't a whole lot on the line there. I think it was more of a consolation prize type game, so it didn't have quite the same feeling as what this one has. And now I know there's some people out there who don't like it to be called the Holy War, but you gotta respect Wikipedia. What Wikipedia says goes, and the Holy War has its own Wikipedia page, so we're going with the Holy War. And probably my favorite part about the Holy War is everything leading up to it doesn't really matter. This game is super unpredictable. Although the history doesn't really matter for this game in particular because every year you just don't know what's going to happen. Just in case you were curious, here's a few things that throughout history Utah has dominated in the Holy War. Of course, we have the current 5-game win streak. We have the overall head-to-head. We have all-time winning record. We have bowl wins. We have bowl winning percentage. Less bowl losses. More BCS wins. Conference championships. Higher recruiting rankings. NFL draft picks. Current active NFL players. We have older student section. And of course, the Pac-12. And if you want a real history lesson, just check the hashtag last time BYU beat Utah. You'll learn a whole lot about things that have happened in the year 2009, which is the last time that BYU beat Utah. Just so you know, that's some good history. The most interesting part to me, and I think most people, is that Kyle Whittingham is going up against his former protege in Kalani Sitake. As we all know, Kalani Sitake decided to join the losing side of this war.
Well done.
Kalani Sitake.
Well done.
Now, of course, Kyle Whittingham, outwardly he's put on a very great show for this. He showed a lot of respect. He said a lot of nice things about Kalani. They've even had an appearance together where they've hugged and looked like the best of friends, kind of like this. But I get the feeling that what he's really thinking inside is something more like this.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Cougars, not join them!
But, of course, at the end of the day, what really matters is what happens on the field. Usually the Holy War is played towards the end of the year, so we have a lot of data and information to go on to make predictions. This year, we only have one game for each team, and we don't really know how good the opponents were. We don't know how good Arizona is. We don't know if Utah was really amped up to play SUU, so there's a lot of question marks going into this game. We don't know what Utah or what BYU we're going to see. Utah against SUU, Troy Williams had a couple of rough moments, but overall he looked really poised. Troy Williams completed 20 of his 35 passes for 272 yards. Not great, but not terrible either. And I think a lot of people could see that there was definite improvement. He was calm and cool in the pocket, and he made really good decisions. The running game for Utah against SUU was not very good, though. The offensive line didn't seem like they were really cohesive as a unit yet. There was a little bit of rotating players throughout the game, so maybe it was just experimenting while they could against a lower level opponent. I don't know. But they definitely need to come out with a much better offensive line next game and run the ball way better, or it's going to be a long night for Utah. However, on the bright side for Utah, even though it was against SUU, the defense looked solid. They only gave up 150 yards of offense, which even against a team like SUU, that's a really low number. The one position that most people thought Utah would be weak at, linebacker, actually turned out to be a strong point during that game. Cody Barton and Sunia Tautaoli looked fantastic at linebacker. They were all over the field. Cody Barton actually led the team in tackles that game. So that was a really nice surprise to see how well the linebackers played. So on paper, that game looked like a slaughter. We know games aren't won on paper, but the yardage difference between those two teams, Utah dominated that game. There's just a couple things that maybe they need to tune up, but other than that, I think they're going to be fine. Now, BYU last week, they played against Arizona, and Arizona has a whole lot of question marks. The problem with Arizona is their defensive line, comparatively to most offensive lines like BYU's offensive line, is really small. And we don't really know. A lot of people think that their defense might be one of the worst defenses ever that Arizona's ever had. And so I don't really know how good Arizona is, which means I don't really know how good BYU is going to be. But what we do know is their offense BYU's offense looked really efficient. Taysom Hill was 21 of 29. He did a really good job. Didn't really take any chances. I think he only threw for like 200 yards, which per completion really isn't that much. They didn't take a whole lot of deep shots down the field, but they played it safe, they played it conservative, and it worked. They ran the ball really, really well. Jamal Williams ran all over the field and he controlled that game completely. But on the flip side, even though Arizona really didn't play that well, or BYU's defense played well enough, Nick Wilson averaged 8 yards a carry against BYU's defense. And even if you take out his longest run, that 49-yard touchdown run, he still averaged 5.5 yards a carry. So that's an opportunity for Utah, who struggled in the run game against SUU, to kind of rebound. And that's kind of an indication that BYU's run defense maybe quite isn't there yet. And I think that's an opportunity for Joe Williams to turn things around. And of course, in classic BYU fashion, in the way that they only can, the game came down to the very end, the very last play, and lucky for them, they had this little superstar here who came in and kicked the game-winning field goal. I'm sure his parents are so proud. But unfortunately, like I said, it was only one game, and I don't know how much we can really take away from it, so we just have to see who can get their team amped up the most, who can be the best prepared team, and if history is any indicator, that's the team that's coached by Kyle Whittingham. So that's kind of the tricky part with everything, though, is we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't have enough information to say where each team is really good at, where each team is not so good at, so we do kind of have to reach back into previous seasons to make some predictions. So I think ultimately Utah's going to win this game, and I think they'll more than cover. I have Utah winning 31-24. I think Utah's going to pass for 250 yards or more. They'll give up less than 350 yards, and I think BYU student section The Rock is going to steal 5 traditions from the Muss, probably by the time this game is over. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Utah's going to win. They're going to win by 7. It's going to cover. Take that to Vegas. Put your money on them. It's going to be awesome. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment, tweet at me, whatever you want to do. And thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time. And let's be honest, if BYU plays like they dance, we're going to be just fine. Also, if you want to see a couple other really embarrassing BYU videos, provide some links for you as well. And I'm out.